Hashflare is quickly becoming one of, if not the most popular cloud mining service out there. So if you want to mine Bitcoin, but you don't want to buy your own mining machine, you can pay Cloudflare to rent their machines and to mine Bitcoin for you. But in this video, I want to look at some of the problems of Hashflare. So if you're putting your money into this, you're educated and you're aware of the situation. Now, obviously, I cannot give financial advice, and do your research before investing yourself. Also, if you're interested in signing up, even after hearing about the problems, I do have a link in the description down below, which helps support the channel, but doesn't cost you any extra. So thanks so much if you go through that, but obviously no pressure there. So Hashflare, what is it? It's a Bitcoin mining service where you pay money to mine for Bitcoin, basically. So you can go in there and you can sign up for a 1-year contract with them to mine Bitcoin, to mine Ether, and to mine Zcash as well. Signing up is really easy. You just go and add as much hash as you want. I personally added 1 terahash just to test it out, which cost me $220 US. And if I have a look at my dashboard, then you can see the revenue forecast, which doesn't include fees. We'll talk about that in a sec. But that's basically the service. So one of the big problems with Hashflare, the first problem I'm going to talk about, is their minimum payouts. Now, if we look at this page, this shows their minimum payouts. So Bitcoin has actually been raised up to 0.05 Bitcoin, which is about $725 at the time of recording this. Ether is 0.1, which is about $150. Dash is 0.1, which is about $106. And Zcash is 0.1, which is about $67. So you've got these minimum withdrawals. Most people are going to be mining Bitcoin, and that's where the minimum withdrawal is huge. So you're looking at the moment at $725. Obviously, as the market fluctuates, then the amount of US dollars that's equivalent to changes. But I invested $220 to buy 1 terahash, and it's going to take me, with the fees, about 1.5 years before I can withdraw anything, and that'll be 0.05 Bitcoin. So what that's worth in 1.5 years, I don't know, but it's going to take that long to get my money back. So that's problem number 1, is your minimum fees. Problem number 2 is the lack of transparency in terms of these revenue forecasts. So if we go ahead and zoom in here on the revenue forecast, we can see that it's estimating that I'm earning this. 0.0014598 or $2 US per day. That's the forecast, and it's estimating 0.05 per year. But as I mentioned, it's probably going to take me more like 1.5 years. So these revenue forecasts, which you see in people's videos, aren't accurate because they don't take into account the fees. So if we go into my history and we scroll down to the logs, then we can see, I'll just zoom in here, on the 13th of January, we can see the earnings here. So 13,231, and then the fees here as well. So really, I only earned 0.0001 and a little bit extra. So the fees there, I worked out to be around 16 to 19%. It fluctuates each day. People talk about 17%, seems to be a pretty accurate figure in terms of the fees. So you need to be considerate of that. You need to understand that before you go ahead and put your money into Hashflare, that they are these fees and the revenue forecasts that they give you are not accurate. So this leads to problem number 3, which is that it's either going to take you a long amount of time or a lot of money to actually test the legitimacy of Hashflare. So I found very few proof cases out there where people are showing themselves actually withdrawing money from Hashflare and receiving it into their account. The ones that are out there are kind of like 6 months old, and obviously this has become way more popular in the last couple of months, and so it really puts into question whether they can pay out this sort of money. And so really what I would want to do myself is actually test it myself and test payments myself. But with the minimum withdrawals of 0.05 Bitcoin or 0.1 Ether, sorry, I'm either going to put a lot of money into it, like thousands of dollars, so that I can withdraw that within, a couple of weeks, Or if I just want to invest a little bit just to test it out, it's going to take over a year before I even have enough to be able to withdraw it. So it kind of feels risky from that aspect, that you're either investing a lot And if it's a scam and you can't withdraw anything, sure, you find out quickly, but you've invested all that money. If you invest just a little bit, it's going to take ages before you can test withdrawing it. And then if it is successful, well, then you've just wasted all that time where you could have been mining for Bitcoin or for Ether. So that's a big problem with it. It's a long time or a lot of money to test its legitimacy. Another problem that they're having at the moment is that Bitcoin withdrawals, as you can see, are enabled in limited mode only. And so I have heard of Bitcoin withdrawals taking ages to be processed, that because the network fees are quite high at the moment, they're basically getting stuck in the queue because there's people willing to pay higher fees in order to have their transactions processed. So there is some fear going around there that just they may do the withdrawals, but it might not go through on the system, and you might not receive it because it's just taking so long to get it. And what do they mean when it says it's in limited mode? And so apparently they're working on this, but be very careful because it may take you longer than you expect in order to receive your Bitcoin. Another problem with Hashflare is that they only have 1 year contracts. So if you go ahead, I'll just log out and take you to the homepage. But if you go ahead and look at the pricing for Hashflare, you can see that it's a 1 year contract. You can also see here they've got limited stock at the moment. They could run out. But basically, you're paying up front and you've got a 1 year contract to mine that. Let's say you did what I did, get 1 terahash for $220. That only lasts for 365 days, and then you have to spend that $220 again in order to renew it and to get that terahash back. So it used to be lifetime. You would just pay up front and it would be lifetime, but they've now changed it to 1 year contracts. And that leads into the next problem in that they can change their terms at any time. So a lot of people who had signed up when this was lifetime, not a 1 year contract, got a notification that, well, it's changed and they've gone from lifetime and they've reduced them down to a 1 year contract. And so people aren't grandfathered into the old system. They change it on people. So someone could have signed up for a lifetime and then they changed it to 1 year. So what's to say in the future they won't change it from a 1 year contract to a 6 month contract or a 3 month contract? So there is that risk there that they can basically change the terms at any point that they want. So you're really trusting in them to do what's best for you. And, as soon as you're trusting someone to do what's in your best interest, you do need to be very careful. So I would only put money into Hashflare that I would be happy to lose, because I do see this as a risky investment at this point. If the company goes under, you're not going to get your money. There's so many things that could go wrong with this that would just mean you wouldn't get your money. So that leads to the last problem, and that's the potential that Hashflare could just be an extremely elaborate Ponzi scheme because they've become so popular, because they're selling so many terahashes to so many people. What's to say they actually have the mining equipment out there to fulfill all of these orders? And what's to say they're not just using a Ponzi scheme where the new people that are coming in are paying out the existing people that are in the network? And with Ponzi schemes, they work as long as more and more new people are coming in and coming in at a faster rate. But as soon as those new people stop coming in or the rate slows down, then the money starts to dry up and it's kind of, you become aware that it is a Ponzi scheme. So could potentially be a Ponzi scheme. You don't know. It's just really hard to tell at this point in time. So there you have the problems that I can see with Hashflare, why I'm skeptical about it, but I am putting some money in there. I am testing it. I want to find out if this is legit. So if it's something that I do choose to recommend in the future, I've had my experience that I can talk about. So tread cautiously. If you are interested in signing up for Hashflare, even after hearing these problems, then there is a link in the description down below where you can go ahead and sign up. Doesn't cost you any extra, but I do get a small commission if you go ahead and do that. So if you do, thanks so much. That really helps support this channel, but obviously no pressure. You can just go directly to their website if you would prefer. So let's just cover it quickly. The problems, you've got those large minimum payouts. So this means it's either going to take you a long time or a lot of money in order to test this service and to start getting money into your account. The revenue forecast doesn't include fees. Bitcoin withdrawals are getting stuck in the queue. There's very few people who have provided Hashflare payment proofs. And if I get to the point where I meet the minimum withdrawals, then I will create a proof video for you guys, and I'll show you that. You got the problem of 1 year contracts and the fact that they can change their terms at any time. And as always, there's the risk that this could just be a Ponzi scheme or some other sort of scheme, and they might not be legit. But from what I see out there, they do seem like a legitimate company. People are very bullish on this. They're very into this, but yeah, trade cautiously. If you want, check out the video that I made here on the minimum withdrawal limits, where I go into that in more detail. That's really important to look at, especially if you're only investing a little bit of money. And check out this video that I did on the actual fees that come with Hashflare, so you can see exactly what fees I'm getting charged for the service. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you can see our future tutorials.